Welcome to River City Hardball. I'm your host, Andrew Gibson, and it's a sticky situation right now for Major League Baseball. Let's welcome in one of Jacksonville's own, Brett Myers, a first-round pick of the Phillies out of Inglewood here in Jacksonville, a state champion and a World Series champion as well. Brett, I hear that you're in Bradenton. What's Colt and the boys up to?
Well, we got a little tournament, it's summer ball going on, and I get to watch a lot of good talent, man, and not just with Colt playing or anything like that, but a lot of good players on this 2024 team, and not only that, the other players that are playing against them and stuff, and to get to be able to see the college scouts come out or the college recruiters come out and watch these boys play, man, it just gives you chills, man. It's pretty cool because I didn't have none of that when I was growing up. It's like you play high school baseball and that's it, and they come and watch you there. And to watch these college scouts to be interested in freshmen and rising sophomores is pretty surreal to see, these guys, especially, running into guys that I've played against like Brad Wilkerson or JU, and him out there watching some of these players and stuff like that is really cool. It's really cool to watch and really cool to see, and asking opinions of what the coaches think and stuff like that, and that right there is just what it's all about. And I love the fact that JU is trying to keep their local talent local, man. That's really cool to see.
Yeah, I love what you mentioned Brad Wilkerson. I love what he and Coach Chris Hayes are really doing over there at JU,
Absolutely.
doing some great stuff. Tell me about Colt, man. You told me the other day that he got up to 88. Is that right?
Yeah, it's crazy because I love the progression of kids, and not just Colt, but like all of them. I saw a kid that Colt grew up with since he was 5, JD Hay at the Bowl School, throwing 89, man. And I always knew that kid had a good arm, and I watched him throw in a showcase or something up to 89, and they were talking about him. And I was like, man, I remember that kid when he was 5 throwing the ball across the field at 5 years old, on the money in the chest. I'm like, that kid's going to be something special one day on the mound. And that's good. That's good to see, man. And that's what I care about, the progression of kids and watching them get bigger, faster, stronger. Cause you try to put a label on them at an early age, which I think is kind of wrong, because you never know what's going to happen until when they hit puberty and keep progressing and working out in the gym. And the more that they love the game and stuff, that right there really makes me feel good that the kids are putting in the work and getting bigger, faster, stronger, and honing their craft.
Your son Colt playing at Bartram Trail. I did a game earlier this year, and it was Colt playing third base, and there was a force play at second. Colt fields the ball at third and just fires a rocket to the covering shortstop or really the second baseman covering the second base bag. And I just turned to the guy next to me and I said, I know his dad played in the major leagues, but Colt just threw a BB there to second base to get that lead runner. He's impressive, man.
He's not a bad little player, man, and but he's still got to continue to progress and he whatever his goals are, I don't want him to be like Dad was and anything like that. I'm gonna let Colt be Colt. He's not me, and that's with all my kids, with all my 2 other boys and everything like that, and even my daughter. I don't want them to be. I want them to be themselves. I don't want them to live in a shadow of anything that I ever did. I want them to be their own person and evolve into what they really want to be on the field and off the field.
That's certainly a good message. Brett Myers with us here on River City Hardball. All right, Brett, let's get to it. Major League Baseball is really cracking down here on foreign substances. There's talk about spider tack, rosin, and mixing with sunscreen. What's your take on all this?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say, and this is from the bottom of my heart. So when I played in Philadelphia, all right, it was very cold in the April months and stuff like that when you first start. Those balls but they rubbed them up with was like cue balls. So you didn't have the grip and you didn't have the command that you were going to have. And ultimately that could end up slipping away from you and you could end up hurting a hitter, obviously. I would personally rather know going to the plate. I pitched off of intimidation. Okay. So did Bob Gibson. So did Roger Clemens. So did Nolan Ryan. Pitched off intimidation because every now and then we could let a ball go and it would be at you at some time. I mean, the unwritten rule, I guess you would say. I don't know. But you pitch off intimidation, right? Well, when these guys are throwing 100 miles an hour and it's in the cold months and stuff, it's pretty tough. Like, it's pretty tough to control the baseball, and you have to back off a little bit. If you are a pitcher, you would back off and try to hit your spots. If you are a thrower and the only thing you know and the only way you've been successful is to throw 100 miles an hour, when you rear back and let it go, you have no idea where that ball is going because it comes off as like a cue ball out of your hand. Like, literally, it is like powder, like baby powder on the baseball in the cold months, right? Now, in the hot months, I never needed anything other than rosin and sweat, for myself, to get a little tack on your hand and whatever. And it's all about the control. It's not about making the pitches nastier. It's all about having a firm grip on the baseball. Like anything you do, like weightlifters, what do they use? They use gloves or whatever. They use something to hold on to the weight so they don't get hurt, right? And that's kind of where I'm at with it. And yes, the rosin and sunscreen thing has been a long time. It's always been there, and it just kind of probably evolved over the time because you put sunscreen on. And I used to powder my whole arm with rosin. And if you get rosin wet, then you are going to have some tack, right? And with that being said, when you can't sweat, like playing in Philadelphia, when it's cold and it's like 35, 40 degrees out, and you're not breaking much of a sweat, it's very I guess I would say, like, it's an uneased feeling, I guess you would say, to where you have no idea where you're throwing this baseball. And when a ball comes back to you, like, if hitters are allowed to use pine tar on their bat so that they don't throw the bat, into the stands or anything like that for protection, or just to grip the bat, then I don't think that pine tar or any of the sticky stuff, I don't even know what the spider stuff is you just said. I have no idea what that is. But you always need to be able to grip something for protection, in my opinion. I don't think it makes the pitches any nastier. I really don't. Your spin rate, whatever the hell that means at this point. But your pitches are what they are. Like, you can't make it any better by putting a foreign substance on your hand. Now, there's been rumors back in the day, which spitballs and stuff like that, and filing a ball down, or filing with sandpaper and stuff. Absolutely, you could scuff a ball and make that ball do nasty stuff. There's no doubt. But I don't think, for grip reasons, meaning with pine tar or anything like that, to hold on to a baseball makes your pitches any better than they were or they are. But I would definitely say that the Vaseline and stuff that some guys use, like, can make the ball definitely dance if you can control that. But unfortunately for myself, I can never master that. Like, I not to let any cat out of the bag or anything like that, but there's been several pitchers that would put Vaseline in their lip and everything like that and be able to make the ball like a spitball, like if you spit on it. But they don't want you going to your mouth. They don't want you going to your mouth on the mound. They think it's going to make it. But listen, when your hands are as dry as they are in cold weather, I loved pitching in hotter weather, being from Florida and everything like that, because I knew that I would have my grip, and either I had my good stuff that day or I didn't. I don't think the tackiness makes your stuff any better that day. And that's where I come from with it. It's almost of a protection thing for the hitters, and with as hard as these guys are throwing these days, with letting stuff get away from the guys and not having a good grip on the baseball. They rub it up with some kind of mud or whatever like that, and then once you get it, it's like baby powder on the baseball, literally.
Yeah, Brett, that's the way I thought about it. I felt like, pitchers should be able to have some sort of grip on the ball, because to me, it's
Well,
like,
if hitters have it,
yeah,
so they don't throw the bat or throw the bat at the pitcher and stuff like that. If pine tar is a legal substance for hitters to use, why can't pitchers use it? But I know hitters will probably sit there and argue, oh, it made his curveball snap harder. No, it does not. In my opinion, it doesn't. It just makes me be able to grip the baseball a little bit more. And in the minor leagues and even in high school, have you seen the seams on these baseballs?
mm-hmm.
All right, the seams in the minor leagues and in high school, I mean, diamonds or, you know, the seams are so high on these baseballs, right? So it's a little easier to grip, right? In the major leagues, there's like almost absolutely no seams. You know, can you raise the seams and alter the baseball? Absolutely, you can do that. But do you have time to do that on the mound? No way. Do you have time to think it? I know, you know, a lot of guys, like, I used to love this, and this is kind of like a little inside of professional baseball, but when a ball hit the dirt and the guy would throw it back to me and I'd see a scuff on the ball, absolutely, I would use it, no doubt. But usually when I would throw that pitch, the guy would foul it off. I'm like, dadgummit. Like, I had a good ball there that would move a little bit more, you know, learning how to use scuffs and certain like that. Hold it on the inside would sink more. Hold it on the outside, it would cut more. Certain things like that, absolutely. That's why you see guys, balls that hit the dirt, they throw them out immediately.
Right.
I used to tell my catchers, throw it back to me until the umpire said, hey, give me that ball. You know,
Right.
but that's it. But that's it. It has the sticky stuff did not affect my stuff. It did not make it sink more. It did not make it cut more. It just helped me with my location. You know, that's a location when they talk about pitching. So with that going on, you know, I don't see any guys using sandpaper and filing balls down like the Negroes did back in the day. I mean, you know, the old school stuff when they didn't throw hard enough, couldn't get guys out, whatever. They tried anything they could. Foreign substance stuff, maybe, you know, some guys could use the Vaseline. And I mean, you know, I mean, there's no way that Greg's Maddox ball moves that damn much without something on it, you know, but not the sticky stuff. The sticky stuff does not make it move that much.
Right. And I can't remember who said this, but they were talking about the grip in the baseball last year. It might have been like Noah Syndergaard or somebody like that.
Yes.
And they said the ball felt like you're trying to hold on to an ice cube.
Absolutely. 100% cue ball. I used to call it the cue ball effect, you know, and honestly, man, straight honest with you. And I heard Glasnow's comments the other day or whatever. And literally, if it's slipping out of your hand, it's like you could hurt yourself. There's no doubt, you know. And I'm not saying that that's the reason or anything like that guys hurt themselves, but that does have a factor in it where you're throwing, you know, like if I put some Vaseline on my hand and try to throw a baseball or whatever like that, or put some slippery substance on my hand to try to throw a baseball. Yes, there's no doubt. It'd be like it just come out and you're like, damn, like I didn't feel like I did that right mechanically or anything like that, you know. And you know, having spring training in Florida and everything for most of my career, it was good enough to where we had some tack, you know. We had some to where we could hold the ball, and then all of a sudden we end up in Philly, first you know, series of the year, and you're out there trying to pitch and you're trying to hold the ball as much as you can. It's almost like your velo is going to go down so that you can have more control because you're a pitcher, not a thrower. Mm-hmm. And that is like one of the hardest things in the world to do is to hold on to that baseball as much as you can. I mean, with anything, man, if you're lifting weights or something like that and the weight slips out of your hand, there's a pretty good chance you could get hurt, you know, or you could hurt somebody else. And that's where I'm at with it. And then that's how I feel about it. A lot of hitters would say, oh no, his curveball is that much better because he's got that. I firmly do not believe that. I would rather my curveball is going to be what it is. Mm-hmm. You know, my fastball is going to be what it is that day, because not every day you have your best stuff. You know, there's some days where people might go, oh man, his curveball is breaking really good today. It had nothing to do with sticky stuff. None of it.
So the spider tack stuff that I mentioned before, that's like sort of a new thing. Like you mentioned how weightlifters and stuff use different things. So apparently this came from like you've seen like the strongman stuff where they lift those big boulders and stones and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently those guys use the spider tack stuff and it helps them grip whatever they're trying to pick up.
Right.
So I don't know specifically who's used it. Garrett Cole was asked point blank if he's ever used it, and he kind of stumbled and stuttered around and really wouldn't answer the question. So that leads you to believe that maybe he has used it and maybe just didn't want to admit it. I don't know. But
right now, the NFL used Stickum.
Yep.
Okay. Back in the day, I used a similar product only in the cold months, just so I would be able to control my fastball and be able to throw for strikes. That's all it is to throw it for strikes. And whether they beat me that day or not, there's been plenty of times I got my rear end kicked even having that stuff. So I mean, that's the biggest the biggest issue is that I just wanted to be able to control what I could control by not hurting somebody, by throwing pitches that could just absolutely get away from you. You know, with as hard as these guys are throwing these days, man, I don't see a problem with it. Hitters are being able to hold their bat, and not sling it and kill somebody in the dugout or fans. I know they have nets up and everything. If the game is turned into like protecting fans and protecting players and stuff like that, then I do not see a problem with it. Sunscreen and rosin has been around forever. I personally never used it. But I can tell you straight up that there has to be something for the pitcher to grip the ball, or they could use a different substance to rub the balls up with, because literally it's like throwing baby powder in cold weather. When you're in a hot city, say I played in Houston, it was fine. It was warmer. I had a good lather when I went out there, and I had rosin all the way up my arm and everything like that. I mean, if rosin's okay mixed with water, then you should, and that gives you a tack, then why are we starting to, mess around with pine tar on the guy's hand or on his hat or something? It's all about the grip. And it has, I don't think I threw enough innings and enough pitches in the minors and in the big leagues to tell you that pine tar does not make my stuff better at all.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you a chance to hold the ball a little bit more, to be able to locate a little bit better. It does not make the ball sink more. It doesn't make the ball cut more. It just gives you a chance to make sure you hit your spots a little bit better.
Brett Myers with us. Really fascinating stuff. A few more minutes with you, Brett. You mentioned the use of sunscreen and rosin. You said that you'd never used it, but that has been around for a long time. I've heard that even at the minor league level that coaches will teach you how to use that. Is that true? Did that happen in the minor leagues?
No. I never put any kind of stuff on me it was all for me feel, if, like I said, if I played in a hotter area, I was always a rosin guy or whatever. And just, I loved a little tack, and just so I didn't, so I could hit my spots. But, they did teach me in the minor leagues how to use a scuffed ball. And when the ball gets scuffed, man, that's when the stuff really moves. Like if you know how to manipulate that, and with the like, you see the Necro thing, where he throws, what did he do? He threw a sandpaper out of his back pocket or something like that. Yes, and I've seen guys like glue a piece of sandpaper to the inside of their glove and stuff like that to make the ball sink a little more. But the foreign substance stuff was never an issue. It was always, everybody always knew that was being done. And hitters, I thought, some hitters, maybe not all of them, some hitters actually appreciated that, because you could say it slipped. You could say it slipped when you're actually probably, unwritten rule, probably throwing at a guy, you know what I mean? Like, because he did something and say, oh, it slipped, it slipped, whatever it is, and stuff like that. So with that being said, the rules of baseball and what these guys are trying to do to the game these days is really irritating, because if they're trying to protect the players, they absolutely need to protect the players and give everybody. If hitters are allowed to use pine tar, then pitchers should absolutely be able to use pine tar on the mound. It does not make their stuff any better. I promise you. It just gives you a grip.
So starting next week, Major League Baseball is going to, I guess, search pitchers and hitters between innings or something like that. I'm not exactly sure how all this is going to be enforced, but if you get caught with something, you're down 10 days. What do you think about that?
I absolutely think that, I mean, like I said, I personally don't think that any of the pine tar or any of the sticky stuff makes guys' stuff better. And I know I've seen mixed emotions about this stuff, where some hitters are going, I would rather them be able to control the ball instead of me getting hit in the face with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball like Pilar did with the Mets, and right. Stuff like that. And I'm not saying that was the reason or anything like that it got away from the guy or anything, but I think that baseball is actually losing the aspect of the art of pitching. They're more going towards the art of throwing,
right?
And throwing hard, because fans want to see 100 miles an hour. They don't want to see a guy go out there pitching at 90 and getting people out because that gets boring to them. They'd rather see a guy getting somebody out throwing 100 because they're lighting radar guns up and stuff like that. I personally think that for the safety of the game, that these guys need to be able to use something. Now, when it's hot out, like we're in the summer months almost, you know what I mean? So there's no reason for guys to use anything, you know, unless that's something they just use and they need it to feel comfortable, you know. I think Major League Baseball is getting away from the aspect of the protection of guys and also trying to, you know, I don't know, dictate the game of how it goes, I guess, and tell them this is what you're supposed to do and this is what you're not supposed to do type thing. There's some unwritten rules about baseball that a lot of people don't understand and about what goes into the game and certain things like that. But the only reason I ever used any sticky stuff is to make sure I could command the fastball and not hit guys every time I threw a fastball 95, 96 miles an hour. You know, your goal as a Major League Baseball player is, yes, throw inside. That's fine. If you have to, old school baseball, you have to buzz a tower. Okay, it's their fault they didn't get out of the way as a pitcher, right? But at the same time, be able to locate your pitches and not end a guy's career means more to me than what they're doing right now.
Brett, you pitched a long time in Major League Baseball, over a decade. How widespread was the use of any kind of substance, stickum, sunscreen, and rosin? Was that all over the place back when you played, or what was it like then?
Absolutely. A lot of guys use that stuff. A lot of guys use it just to make sure they have control. You know, that's it. Because pitching is about control. It's about throwing strikes. It's about hitting your spots. That's what pitching is. Throwing is about trying to let the ball go as hard as you can let it go and don't give a damn where it goes. You know, and I can tell you right now, Will Clark told me I got drafted in 1999. I went up to Philadelphia and signed Will Clark. They were playing the Giants. Schilling was pitching that day, and I was on the field watching them take BP. Will Clark goes, "Oh, so you're the first rounder. How hard do you throw?" And I went, before I could get any kind of velo out of my mouth, he goes, "I don't give a damn. I can time a jet airplane." And I went, okay, that's Will the Thrill. I have nothing to say right now and he's dead serious. And my first a 17-year-old kid, I was 18, a 17-year-old Venezuelan kid, one of the first pitches I threw in Florida Instructional League was 96 miles an hour, and the kid put it on the street. And at that point in time, I realized, I was like, well, down the middle doesn't work anymore. You know, in high school, you could throw it as hard as you want, throw it by kids. When you get to guys that have seen this stuff before and you don't hit your spots, you're in big trouble. You're in big, big trouble. Now, I did pitch on a lot of intimidation factor where they thought I was a little crazy out there, which I love that because they thought I was a little nuts. And sometimes that's the way you got to pitch and hopefully compete at that level or whatever. But you know, being able to control the baseball and be able to throw it where you want to throw it. I've thrown pitches that were just absolutely paint on the black at 94, 95 and seen guys hit it the other way, whether I had stickum or not. You know, these guys are really, really good and very talented. And I promise you, a comfortable at bat for a big league hitter is a big issue for me as a pitcher. I don't want a guy to be comfortable off of me, but then again, I'm not trying to hurt this guy and ruin his career and hit him somewhere to where he can never play again. You know, because these guys have families to feed as well and stuff like that. Like that is a big thing. Like I ain't trying to hurt anybody when I'm out there pitching, but I do like to pitch with intimidation. You look at Clemens, Nolan Ryan, Bob Gibson, Randy Johnson, those guys that could just let the ball eat, man, but have a feel for where it's going. Every pitch is with a purpose. Every pitch is with a purpose, you know, to set up the next pitch. Talking about pitching wise, you know, and if you can't control that, then you end up with like Pilar getting hit in the face and guys, you know, Bryce Harper getting hit in the face with pitches and stuff like that. I'm not saying that comes from grip. I think a lot of that comes from guys just trying to throw it 100 and light the radar gun up and not know how to pitch with, instead of going 100, back it down to 96, 97 and be able to hit your spots.
So Glasnow comes out and says that, part of the reason why he got hurt was the fact that baseball's not allowing him to use the sunscreen and rosin and the stuff that he was using. And I think, his point, as he said, was, I wish they would have told us before the season, let us adjust to it. But yet now they make this decision to enforce all this stuff in the middle of the season, not even the middle of the season. We're not even at the All-Star.
Yeah, he has a good point with that. He has a good point with that because a lot of guys have been using that for a while, and they love the feel of that, and it becomes this is what I've been doing for a long time, and then they all of a sudden want to change that, and I can tell you right now, from if you ever picked up a cue ball and tried to throw it as hard as you can, and or to what your body's capable of throwing, and it slip out of your hand, that's when stuff starts breaking. Like if you think about throwing a lighter ball, a tennis ball or something like that, as hard as you can, how does your arm feel after that? Like if you look at certain things like that and you try to throw something with any kind of velo that slips out of your hand, yes, there's no doubt. That's why Vaseline or anything like that guys use, or licking their fingers or throwing spitballs or whatever, trying to do that. I could never control that because I was afraid it's going to slip out of my hand and end up blowing my arm out. And that happens. And I don't disagree with what Glasnow said by any means, but I don't think it makes his stuff any better by having some tack on his hand. It's kind of like swinging a bat with no pine tar on it, and you swing and that bat flies right out of your hand. You could potentially break your wrist.
Oh yeah.
Like with certain things like that. And that's exactly the problem I have with what these guys are saying. I might have said too much and told too much, but I can tell you right now that I would rather have control of my pitches to know where they're going instead of just going out there and going, well, I better back off a little bit today and try to pitch some way different, which I have done, but that's the art of pitching. It's not the art of throwing. But these guys now, that all the Major League Baseball cares about is how hard these guys throw. They care about exit velo. They care about launch angle. They care about all the wrong things instead of the analytics of the game have absolutely ruined, in my opinion. Because Major League Baseball wants to see more home runs. But remember the saying back in the day in '99? I remember coming out, chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah, I remember.
If Major League Baseball are making balls tighter and harder for guys to hit the ball further, then that attracts more money for them. So, but nobody wants to see a good pitching outing. They want to see a lot of runs scored because a lot of people talk about how boring baseball is. But if they really knew the sport and understood the mentality and the thought process that goes in to these games and how to get guys out 3 times in a row through 6-7 innings, that I don't think that fans understand that. The toughness of pitching against the best in the world and getting people out and trying to understand that how he faces that guy each time. I can tell you for a fact, I would literally throw with nobody on Albert Pujols. I'd throw him all fastballs because I knew that I could get him out with a curveball later in the game with a guy on second or a guy on first and second or a guy on third. You know what I mean? Like I knew his weakness, but I did not want to attack his weakness early in the game because I didn't want to show him that I knew what his weakness was until I got in that nut-cutting situation, for lack of better terms.
Right. I think baseball should be able to formulate like a universal substance and say, here's what you guys can use. Everybody can use it. Let's be able to give the pitchers something to throw with. I don't know why they can't do that.
It goes back to this. Who told them that sunscreen and rosin makes it tacky?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they said rosin is legal. Now, in cold weather, rosin's like picking up a bag of baby powder. It's like picking up a bag of baby powder and you're trying to pick it up and you're trying to get some sticky stuff on your hand, but your hand is like already feels like baby powder because of the way they rub the ball up with the mud or whatever they use on the baseballs. Why do you rub a baseball up? Why are they rubbing a baseball up? To give the pitchers better grip, right?
Right.
Is that not what they use? Why rub a brand new baseball? I watch these kids with like Colt in them. They throw brand new baseballs out there, right? They're not rubbed up. You know what I'm saying? They're not rubbed up at all. But there's seams on there that they can grab onto and hold onto. Major League Baseball has like no seams.
Do you think they should change the ball back? Change it to where the seams are higher?
I don't really know. It always seems like that, and of course I'm biased because I was a pitcher, but I think that you know, everything that they do is to make the pitcher worse, you know, and so the hitters have the advantage. So if the hitters are allowed to use all this foreign substance on their bat and everything with the Manny Mota stick and the pine tar and everything that these guys have on the stuff, why are they allowed to hold the bat? Why don't you take all of it away? Take it away from them too. I used to love when I jam a guy, get a ball back with some pine tar on. I'd be like, right, got a little more tack on my hand, whatever, so I could throw the ball where I want to throw it. It didn't make it move anymore. You know, it didn't make the stuff move anymore. Trust me, I had enough coaches that were old school that would tell us how to make it move with pine tar. And guess what? It doesn't move anymore with pine tar. Or it doesn't move with any kind of sticky substance. It doesn't move anymore. When I had, you know, I would have, you know, rosin and sweat running down my hand or whatever. Most of the thing was for the rosin to stop the sweat so it didn't slip out of my hand.
Yeah. Hey,
because I wanted to be able to locate.
Final thing or two. You know, some people have made the comment that, you know, using substances is cheating. Do you think what do you think about that?
Depends on what substance they're talking about. You know, pine tar and the sticky stuff, absolutely not. It doesn't do anything. In my opinion, it doesn't do anything. If that was the case, I would have had a sub-2 ERA if it made my stuff any better, like through my career. It didn't change anything. Didn't make my stuff any better. Just made me be able to hold the ball so I didn't potentially, you're throwing 95 miles an hour with a rock in your hand and you hit somebody in the neck or in the head or in the face, you could potentially kill that person and stop feeding their family and certain things like that, you know. And like I said, I pitched off of intimidation, man. No matter if I was throwing 88 or 90 at the time, I pitched off of being, you know, like I will get it close to you if I have to, you know, to make a presence like that is my plate, you know, like Bob Gibson said, you know, that's my part of the plate, you know, that's my half of the plate. It's not yours, you know. And that's the way I am. I mean, I was an old school baseball player, always been an old school baseball player, you know, and I just don't think that a tacky substance makes your spin rate, whatever the hell that means these days, because, you know, these guys spin rates and stuff like that makes their curveball any better. You know, it just puts a grip on them, and they're able to throw the ball where they want to throw the ball so that they don't end up hurting somebody seriously.
Brett, tell us about your new album, man.
Yeah, it just came out last Friday. It's called Wrong Side of the Tracks. You know, it's our 5th album. Just put it out, and hoping people enjoy it. I love writing songs and telling stories, and I hope people can relate to the stories, I guess you would say. It's fun for me because it gives me something to do after baseball. And I always, when I was playing, I was huge Skynyrd fan, and I always wanted to be able to play Leonard Skynyrd music, you know, being from Jacksonville and stuff like that, and realizing how hard it is to play guitar and the music stuff. Writing was my passion. Playing the instrument, everything is like one of the toughest things, man. You really have to dedicate your life to it. And a lot of my good friends are musicians and military based, because they kind of live the same life as professional athletes, being away from their family. So a lot of the stories are similar, and to be able to still, I guess I would say, compete, you know, and even on stage and everything like that, and be able to do this stuff. I had the privilege to write a song on this album with Johnny Van Zant called Drinking Man. Man, I never thought I would ever be in this situation, to be able to be with a legend like that and to write a song and sit in his house and write it on paper with this guy. And then he goes, get up there and sing it. And I'm going, I got to go. Like, you just get nervous, when you're in front of that, and everybody goes, I play live shows or whatever. They go, and I'm like, I'm so nervous before shows, and they're like, but you pitched in front of 40,000 people. You played in the World Series, and I'm like, yeah, but I've been playing baseball since I was 5. I kind of got a handle on that, And when you do something new, a lot of people want to be skeptical about it, but I think the passion that I put behind it, and really enjoy putting a message, or just trying to relate to people and just say, listen, I'm a real person too, and this is how I feel, and I'm going to write it in a song. Really means a lot to me. It kind of gives people a view into who I am, as well as letting them know that I'm just like them, no matter what I did in life.
That's right. Once again, tell people about the album. Where can they check it out?
You can get it anywhere on iTunes, anywhere digitally. You can get it Spotify. It's everywhere. You just type in Brett Myers and it'll pop up. Like I said, this is our 5th album. I'm so happy that I was able to do 5 albums, because when I first started, I did 5 songs and people liked it. And I'm like, well, I guess I better put out a full album. And then they ended up liking that. And the fans are the only ones that are actually pushing album after album by supporting us and everything like that. And I'm so grateful that, people gave me a chance and want to listen to the music and stuff like that. And that's exactly why I do it. And I'm having fun doing it as well. So.
Awesome stuff. Brett Myers, thanks so much for doing this, man. Great to catch up with you. Have fun with your family down there in Bradenton.
Yeah, man. Have a good one, man.